What's going on, people? Welcome back to On The Ball. Welcome back to round 2 of Premier League predictions. Well, unfortunately, Sim is already 10-2 up.
Everyone's backing
early
me.
days. We know it's early days, don't we, Sim?
Come on, it's fortunately I'm ahead. I can't count my chickens.
Unfortunately, it's early days.
That's the truth. Unfortunately, it's very much early days. I need to be leading after game week 38. Until then, it's not safe, apparently.
Yeah, so you know how it works by now. It is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man. Once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season, and it's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. Let's get into the weekend's action, round 2 in the Premier League. First up is actually a big one, 12:30 kickoff at the Amex, Brighton against Manchester United. What have you gone for?
I have gone for 2-2 between Brighton and Man United. I saw enough from both teams to suggest that both teams are very much vulnerable. Everton had a lot of chances against Brighton at first half, but then, to be fair, Brighton, once they got a foothold in the game, their new signings really impressed. The likes of Winter, Weaver, really impressive for Brighton. Under the new manager, first home game of the season, big, and as well, when you got Man United first home game of the season, they're going to be up for it. But I did see some vulnerabilities from Brighton as well, and I think United can exploit that. But I saw some vulnerabilities from United against Fulham, and I think Brighton are going to be perfect for exploiting that. So I couldn't really split them, so I went for a high-scoring 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I've gone for 2-1 to Brighton. First home game at the Amex. I was so impressed with the attacking intent that they did show. You know you're going to get that from a Brighton side, but even more impressive because it was the manager's first game in Hertzler. Manchester United, I thought they were good, but nothing special in my opinion. They showed some good play, they created some good chances, and they probably did deserve victory and getting that 3 points on the day. But I think Brighton were just so much more impressive on the day, and I think it'll be a nice open game of attacking football. And what I was actually really impressed with Brighton as well is that Minte goes off injured, and I thought he was so good during the game. And Adingra just comes in, no problems, goal and assist straight away. So I think Brighton have got so much attacking talent in their team, and at home first game at the Amex, I think they're going to do over Man United. And they're no strangers of beating Man United over the last couple of years as well.
That's also true.
Next up, we're going for Palace against West Ham. Another really hard game to predict. I've gone for 2-1 to West Ham. Ooh. I think that Palace, obviously, they had a bit of an up and down game in the first game out against Brentford, but Joachim Andersen looks to be going out the door. There's also heavy talks for Mark Guehi as well. And if they do go into this game without Joachim Andersen and Mark Guehi, that could spell, big trouble for Crystal Palace going into this game. I wasn't too impressed with West Ham, but I do expect that Lopetegui is going to play a lot of his new signings in this game, which I was quite disappointed that he didn't do in the first game. So I feel like this could be actually a really good time to play Crystal Palace coming into this. So I've gone for 2-1 to West Ham.
I've gone for 1-1. I just thought maybe watching West Ham's first game of the season, it might take them a bit longer than I maybe thought to bed those new signings in and get them playing from the start and get them playing in the way that Lopetegui envisages, because I thought they were quite disappointing at Aston Villa. I thought they were going to have more of the game than that. If they're still going to persist with the likes of Antonio and Souček in this one, then I expect the chances are going to be limited for them creating. Palace, on the other hand, you're right, it's going to be a big struggle if Andersen and Guehi are both under. Obviously Andersen's gone. If Guehi's also not playing, I suspect, albeit there's rumours of a close deal with Newcastle, I suspect he still might play.
He captained them on the first day.
Yeah, so I still think they're going to want to drive the price up for him. So I think playing him probably drives the price up a bit more. So I think he will play, and they play that back three system. And if West Ham are going to play in a similar vein to what they played against West Ham, I see them struggling to create chances. So Palace with their first home game of the season, they're going to be difficult to break down. They're definitely going to be missing Olise. I wonder if Kamada or if Sarr or Kamada is going to play in the front three in this one. I think it'll be a tight game with little chances created. So I went for a 1-1 draw.
Next up is Fulham against Leicester. Fulham obviously losing to Manchester United on the first game of the season. Leicester drawing with Spurs in an impressive result, but I don't think they were too impressive in terms of the performance. I have gone for Fulham to win this by 2-0. I feel like it will be a bit of a welcome to the Premier League for Leicester, albeit it should have been from Tottenham, but it will be from Fulham. And they showed some positive signs in spurts against Manchester United, but ultimately they did concede way too many good chances. But I feel first game at the Cottage this season, 2-0 to Fulham.
I also went 2-0 Fulham as well. Same result, and I think obviously they'll be buoyed by a good signing in Anderson. I think he's a really good centre back. I think he really improves their back line.
Back to the club, yeah.
Yeah, I think obviously I did get relegated with him in the side, but I think he definitely improves their backline, especially Bassi was making all sorts of mistakes in the game against United. So I think he comes in, shores up the backline. He's got great passing range as well. Rumours of the likes of Cherki maybe moving now. I don't know if he'll be there in time.
What a signing that would be,
if he gets in. I mean, if they can add him to the attack, I think that adds a really good dimension. Add him, Smith Rowe, Iwobi behind Muniz. All of a sudden, you're seeing quite a good attack shape there at the Cottage. I do think defensively they're a bit more. Obviously, not like gung ho like Tottenham, so I don't think they're going to leave the back door as open as Spurs did. I think Leicester are really going to struggle to create chances, and I think under Marco Silva they have this pragmatic style in these kind of games where they do make life difficult for the opposition. And Muniz, obviously, is a good striker, and I think had a really good end to last season. So I've gone for them, to win 2-0.
Next up, Manchester City against Ipswich. What have you gone for in that one?
4-0 City.
Same.
4-0 City. Yeah, I think although Ipswich showed signs of what they can do against Liverpool, especially in the first half, they did give them trouble. I think they definitely had a bit of a, first game in the Premier League at Portman Road, home game. The tails were up. I think when you're going to the Etihad, in your second game and it's away from home, it's going to be very difficult for Ipswich to stem the tide here. I thought City barely got out of first gear against Chelsea, and they won out 2-0 winners. And I think in this one, promoted sides generally struggle very badly at the Etihad, and I can't see Ipswich stemming the tide here. And I see the likes of Doku, if Savino. It looks like Savino's going to be fit, so
he's going to be fit, is he?
Looks like he was training, so it looks like he's going to be fit. And obviously Erling Haaland up front. I can't see anything but a City dropping, so 4-0.
Yeah, I've gone for 4-0 as well. I mean, I don't want to take too much away from Ipswich from that first half performance against Liverpool, because I think they were good, but I do think it was more Liverpool not really being at it, not winning their duels. And as soon as Arne Slot made a couple of changes tactically and via personnel at half-time, I thought Liverpool were by far the better side. And I don't think Man City will be so forgiving in this game here. First game at the Etihad, champions elect. Everyone thinks that they're going to do the fifth in a row. Well, not everyone. A lot of people think they're going to do 5 in a row this year. And they've got top quality all over the pitch, and I feel like Ipswich it might take a while for Man City to break the deadlock, but once they do, I feel the floodgates could open a little bit, and we all know the firepower that Man City have, so I feel like Ipswich will be on the end of a drubbing this weekend. Next up is an interesting game, Southampton against Nottingham Forest. I've gone for 2-2 here. I've gone for a Desmond. I was actually really impressed with Southampton first game of the season against Newcastle. Even before the red card, I feel like Southampton were very much on top, dominating possession, creating chances, and I feel this is going to be a really open, attacking game of football. Nottingham Forest as well were fairly good in their opening game of the season, quite surprisingly to me. So I feel like I couldn't really pick a winner here. I feel both teams are going to fancy their chances, so I couldn't split them. I've gone for 2-2.
I went for 2-1 to Southampton, actually. I think first home game of the season, first home game back in the Premier League as well. Under Russell Martin, I think their tails are going to be up, but I think they'll be a bit buoyed by how they did play at Newcastle, despite the fact they didn't score against 10 men, and they'll be very disappointed they didn't get anything out of the game. I think even before they went down to 10 men, they'll be really encouraged by how they played, and so they should come into this with a bit of confidence. They can really take the game to Forest, and we know how Forest like to play. They're going to try and contain Southampton and play them on the counter-attack, and that could work with the firepower they do have, so I do think they'll get a goal, but I actually think that could go against them here. I think Southampton will take the impetus, take the game to Forest. I can see them, with Archer now up front. I think Diaz has proven he can score goals in the Premier League as well. I think he had a good game last time out, so I think they're going to have just enough firepower to edge past Forest here, so I've gone for 2-1 Southampton.
All right, now we move on to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Tottenham's opening home game of the season against Everton. What have you gone for?
Gone 3-1 Spurs.
3-1?
3-1 Spurs.
Come on.
I think if we create a similar amount of chances as we did early on against Leicester, I think being at home, having the crowd behind us, I think that should be enough to, force the ball over the line, as opposed to against Leicester, where we were missing a lot of his chances. I think Solanke's first home game, he's going to be super motivated to get on the score sheet. I thought he had a brilliant game against Leicester. It was such a shame he missed those chances, because other than that, I thought he showed a new dynamic he's going to bring to Spurs. And I think if he adds that to this Everton game, I think Everton, we know how they're going to play. I think they're going to try and contain Spurs. They're going to try and hit us on the counter. They did, to be fair to him, create quite a few chances in the first half against Brighton, but I think Spurs, better personnel on the back line. I think they're going to struggle to create the same level of chances against Tottenham, albeit I do see them getting goal, but I think Spurs, if they can do what they were doing against Leicester, just put the ball in the back of the net, I think it should be a confident opening first home game of the season for Spurs. I've gone 3-1.
I hope you're right. but I have gone for 2-1 to Tottenham. Exact carbon copies of the first weekend of the season. Sim went 3-1, I went 2-1. It did end up being 1-1, obviously, but I feel like Everton always give us a hard game. Last year, they gave us 2 really hard games at Goodison and at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We went 2-0 up fairly early, and then they really nearly levelled it up, but we did just about win 2-1. And I think I can see a bit of a repeat performance, to be honest. Everton, to put us under pressure with their physicality, I think they were a bit disappointing first game of the season, and I think that Sean Dyche will get them up for this one. I think they'll smell blood a little bit against Tottenham, particularly from set pieces. We all know how vulnerable Spurs can be from those crossing situations and from set pieces, and I feel like that's where Everton are going to get their joy. But I think Spurs are going to have a bit too much firepower for Everton at the end of the day, and I think Spurs will just about edge it by 2-1. Next up is Villa against Arsenal. First game at Villa Park, which is a really interesting matchup. I've gone for 0-0.
0-0?
Yeah,
wow.
I've gone for 0-0 here. I feel like Arsenal are going to sit back. They're going to be really hard to beat. I got a feeling it could be very similar to maybe the game at the Etihad that Arsenal played last year, where they're just not going to want to lose at this stage of the season very early on. Aston Villa, with Ollie Watkins not really firing just yet, I feel they're going to find it really hard to break down this Arsenal side. And I feel Arsenal, on the other hand, are going to find it hard to break down this Villa side. So I've gone for 0-0.
I've actually gone for 1-0 to Arsenal. I think Arsenal will just about shade it. I think Villa, impressive opening game against West Ham. They did really well to win that game 2-1, albeit in the second half West Ham did get a bit of control, but I thought Villa, with Onana in the team, really good signing. I think it's going to be difficult. If you remember, because I went back to the game with Villa Park last season, Villa did win that 1-0, but Arsenal were very much in that game and probably should have taken something out of that game. And I think without the likes of like Douglas Luiz, if Watkins isn't completely firing like he's not right now, I don't know if Leon Bailey will have the same impact on the game he had last time out. So I don't know if Villa are actually going to hurt Arsenal as much as they did in the early stages of that game last year. And Arsenal I can see them just finding a way to get a goal, whether it be a set piece or whether it be a moment of quality from Saka or the front line. I think it's going to be a really tough away day for Arsenal. I can see it being a game of few chances, but I just see Arsenal shading it 1-0.
All right, Bournemouth against Newcastle. What have you gone for with that one?
I have gone for 2-2. One for Desmond here. Evan Nilsson probably making his debut, I'm going to guess, for Bournemouth here, replacing Dominic Solanke. I think, obviously, Bournemouth under Iraola, super exciting team. They like to get the ball forward. They like to press high, be aggressive. Newcastle will like that with the personnel they do have, albeit they'll be a bit disappointed with their first game of the season, albeit they did win 1-0 with 10 men. So you can say, yes, they'll be happy with they came away with the result and it was a gritty win. But especially how they came out the start of the game, you would have thought Newcastle, after how last season went, it's like a fresh start this season, and you would have thought they might come flying out the traps against Southampton on the opening day. That didn't quite happen, and Southampton actually were very much in the game even before the 10 men. But Newcastle did find a way to win, but if they're not in that such confident mood, I don't know if they'll go and win this game. Albeit the talent they got up front, I can see them creating chances against Bournemouth with Gordon and Isaac, and if Barnes can get into the team, I can definitely see them hurting Bournemouth with the way they like to play. But I think Bournemouth are going to have their tails up here, so I've gone for a 2-2 draw.
I have gone for 2-1 to Newcastle. Newcastle to get back-to-back victories in the Premier League. I wasn't that impressed with Bournemouth first game. I wasn't that impressed with Newcastle. So I think both of these teams are really going to go for it. I think they'll both fancy their chances again. But Newcastle, I just think, have that much more quality than Bournemouth. And I think out of the two teams, Newcastle will be more disappointed with their performance than Bournemouth were. So Eddie Howe, as much as he'll be happy with getting those 3 points on the board, he'll be disappointed with the way they played, and he'll definitely get them up for this one. And with the firepower of Gordon and Isaac, who both really disappointed in the first game, I think they'll be bang at it. I think it'll be a good, nice, open game of football, but I think Newcastle will just about get over the line. Next up is Wolves against Chelsea, and I have gone for 2-1 to Wolves in this game. And I feel like these are the games that Gary O'Neill licks his lips at. You know that Gary O'Neill, he loves these kind of games against a biz side at Molineux, so I feel like this is going to be no different. Maresca is causing a lot of talking points and a lot of headlines in his press conferences at the moment. I feel like it's kind of unwanted attention as well he's causing with the comments for Raheem Sterling, which I'm not sure it's a good thing for Chelsea. Chelsea weren't too impressive against Man City, albeit it was against Man City. You can't really get harder games for your first game into the Premier League. But Wolves are going to be aggressive. João Gomez in the middle. They've got players to hurt them on the counter-attack. I think Chelsea will dominate the possession, but I think Wolves are going to pick them off here, 2-1.
Yeah, I've got 1-0 Wolves. I've gone for a Wolves win. Wolves were quietly impressive against Arsenal, I felt, despite despite the fact that obviously they succumbed to a 2-0 defeat. They did create more chances than I thought they did. And if it wasn't for some really good saves from Raya and maybe some really poor finishing, they could have easily taken something out of that game, especially when it was 1-0. Obviously, Cunha didn't start that game, and I expect him to start this game. And they had a striker, Larson, up front, who was causing Arsenal some trouble. So if they got a front three of Cunha, Hwang and Larson, I can really see them giving trouble to Chelsea on the counter. Chelsea, I'm just not sure about his project yet under Maresca. I'm not sure if he's up to the task, and I don't know the way he's treating some of these players is going to be beneficial to fostering a team spirit. You know, Raheem Sterling was a big member of that dressing room. Apparently, a lot of the younger players looked up to Raheem Sterling, and he was very good with them. So the way they're just discarding him and the way they're treating him, are other Chelsea players going to look at that and think, that could be me in a year's time or something like that. So I do wonder if it's going to be also the way that he's just discarding. He said, I've only got 20 players and the other 15 I don't care about. Like, what kind of message is that sending to these players? Like, you don't even care about them, you're not even monitoring their progress, you're not even, you've got to give them a pathway to the first team, they're part of your club. I don't know if that's any way to treat players that are part of your team. Just say you don't care about them, you don't see them. What kind of message is that sending to them? So I've got a feeling this could all blow up in Maresca's face. Obviously, it's still early days. He's probably going to get, the majority of the season to try and work it out. But I reckon he's going to have some early season trouble at least. So I've gone for a 1-0 win to Wolves. And as you say, I think these are the kind of games Wolves really enjoy. So I think Gary Neal will have a plan for this one.
And last but not least, Liverpool against Brentford. What have you gone for?
I've gone for a 2-1 win to Liverpool. I do see a bit of a closer game. Obviously, they did win confidently against Ipswich, albeit they had their difficulties early on. Obviously, Tony's not going to be involved, I assume, in this one, but they still got the likes of Mbeumo and Schade and Worcester, who are really devastating on the counter. And I think they'll definitely look at this Liverpool team early on against Arne Slot and think they can do a bit of damage. But I think Liverpool will just have enough quality. I see a difficult game for Liverpool, though. I see a bit of a stodgy performance. I think Brentford are really set up to frustrate Liverpool in this one. And because it's early on in Arne Slot's time at Liverpool, I do see him maybe having a bit of a struggle here to win this game comfortably. But I think I can see this being like a 1-1 up until late on, last 10 minutes, and Liverpool getting a late winner. So I've gone for a 2-1 win to Liverpool.
I actually feel it's going to be a really confident and big performance from Liverpool. Arne Slot's first game at Anfield, and the fans are going to be there for him. It's going to be an electric atmosphere there at Anfield. I've gone for 3-1 to Liverpool, and I feel like Brentford can get a goal on the counter, like you say, with the players that they do have there. But I feel like it's going to be more or less domination from Liverpool, and I feel like they're going to take from that second half performance and really put in a big display for Arne Slot in front of the home fans here at Anfield. So 3-1, Starman, who have you gone for?
Jeremy Doku.
I was thinking of Doku
because he just loves, these are the games he loves, at home to a promoted side. I was actually thinking, I was watching Doku against Chelsea. He did some good things, but he actually, I think, last season he got 10 goal contributions. I think 5 of them were in one game. And I was wondering, he needs to really up those goal contributions. But the 5 were against a promoted side last time out. So I do see Doku doing some damage against Ipswich. I do think he'll start because he played well against Chelsea. So I can see him doing damage here. So I went for him.
I feel like it's going to be a really big season for Jeremy Doku. How many times have you seen wingers under Pep Guardiola have not such a great first season, and second season they just explode?
It's true.
And I feel like it could be something similar for Jeremy Doku this year. But I've gone for Adam Armstrong of Southampton. I've gone for them to score 2 goals. He got 24 goals and 13 assists last season in the Championship, helping them get promotion. So I feel like it could be a big game for them. At home to Nottingham Forest. We both think that they're going to do well this weekend, Southampton. So who better to get on the goal contribution list than Adam Armstrong? So let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to know your predictions. Who do you think is going to come out on top this weekend, me or Sim? But thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time, guys.